in this ICT era, they're still setting up my laptop, you know, as it often happens. So why don't I just start with a small discussion? This is going to be an interactive session, and I'm hoping that everybody would pitch in as vigorously, and sir, maybe you'd help out, you know, in getting more traction from the audience.
I don't think the audience can tolerate 2 sessions.
No, I'm sure a lot of people here would beg to differ. But I wanted to raise a question. So, you know, the first thing I wanted to do was just ask 2 or 3 questions and throw it open to discussion. The format I was hoping is that I will throw open a question, and we will talk for 5 minutes. Then we'll throw open the next question, then we'll talk for 5 minutes, all of us. The next question, 5 minutes, and then I will try to move the audience towards a solution. Okay? So the first question is, what has education technology really given to your schools? What value has it added? Please speak up. Can you pick up your mics and start talking? Yeah. Who'd like to go first?
Yeah.
Sir.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Great.
In the simplest way possible. It's good for a lot of stuff where we have been able to telescope the time available. Yes, yes. She's as it is very smart. Yeah. The bad is where technology becomes social media and the lynch mob is out. WhatsApp is one message platform I would like to kill for when parents start spending rumors. The ugly is where youngsters are having mobile. This is a real story. Ruskin Bond wrote about it in Outlook of the year end, where he was standing in a street corner in Missouri. One guy was standing there intently watching his mobile. He went up and asked him what is he watching. He showed him a hardcore porno movie and said, "Do you want to see it again?" So this is the intrusion technology has brought in.
Phrase the question to what has technology or education technology investment in your schools, in your chains, with your peers investment, you know, given you so far in the last few years? So if we focus it on, there's been a bunch of products around. So you have a point to make.
So still what I said earlier, that it is in my pocket. Right now school is running and all the 12 buses report is coming to me.
Fantastic.
So one is there. Second is the what assessments we are doing in all respects. We got online softwares. So the teachers who are feeding the data, so the CBSE provided our progress card and report cards, whatever it is there. It is very easily being framed in a proper shape and size and material. SMS and email is the best part to convey immediate messages in most of the part of the time when immediate holidays are declared. So we can make a SMS, and SMS is nowadays a very improved one that we can send on DAD numbers also. Email is the paper-savvy technique which I am using in my school. All the students are given the content which is required to be only seen, not to be copied or not to be printed out. So that is easily available. So these are the changes. On the other part, we are making our generation parents more, technically savvy also, because जिनको SMS नहीं पढ़ना आता था हिंदी या राजस्थानी, जैसे हम जयपुर से हैं तो, but still they ask from the क्या है देखना कुछ absent है क्या बच्चा स्कूल में, because the software is giving them कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं है या आज PTM है. So we are getting a very good response from parents also, and the problem in some part is removed. But yes, there are drawbacks. We have to be wise. I added earlier.
Excellent. So. Sir has a point here.
What I am getting out of education technology is the smart students. One word, I am getting a smart student. They are far ahead than where we are standing. Our teacher need to ask a student sometimes, how do you use a mobile? How to access, how to enable the data roaming? Because our teachers are not technology.
So let's bring it back to the topic, right? So I heard something very interesting. What I heard was, you have streamlining of safety services, okay? I heard that streamlining of communication and interaction to parents. When the teacher feeds in the data, you're reporting possibly for school chains, aggregation of the information to a national level has become easier. What else? What else has education technology done?
Exchange of knowledge between the world, through Skype. Teachers can talk to the, sitting in their own school, they can talk to the teachers in US, in UK, even in their own country, even students. So exchange of knowledge has become very, very easy now.
Excellent. So that means that access to both information, general information on the internet, as well as interaction and integration probably of the teacher community has become stronger, right? Because of the use of these tools.
Learning also has become faster for the teachers also. All these online courses, which we thought was not possible, teachers learn faster, teachers interact faster, the teacher gets the answer faster. Online curriculum centers are there, and you get all your answers. I have a problem as a principal, I post, and I get the answer. So there are solutions.
So I was speaking to somebody who's on the board of Coursera. Does everybody know about Coursera? So Imbibe was actually selected as the only education technology startup from India to be invited to Ireland. I don't know how that happened because we're not very good at advertising. I always say we're like Rahul Dravid. You probably never heard of our name before today, right? But he sort of called me over and he said that, you know, there's a lot of education technology investment happening when it is good to know things. Okay? A MOOC. Everybody's heard of MOOCs? Massively online open courses. When was the last time somebody finished a course on a MOOC like their life depended on it? Like their life depended on it. Completion rates on Coursera are a challenge. Khan Academy's month traction is 1 attempt per user month. That means on average you solve 1 question per student per month. So the question is, what else has technology brought to the classroom? We've seen a $100 million company form itself. We've seen a $100 million company destroy itself, right? We've seen investments from 2006, 7, 2003, 1999. eGurukul was acquired by NIIT, right? But once again, I'm asking the principals, what has education technology brought to address the problems of hashtag in your...
See, one deliberate devil's advocate, the school system with all the SMSs and everything coming through, we have become a less trusty society. We have become a more intrusive society. We are somebody who have become more insecure. And we look at the negatives more than positives. Earlier on, if the school bus is late by, say, 15 minutes, there would be patience. Today, if it is 15 seconds, the SMS or the phone calls come. We want video cameras everywhere, very intrusive. The inherent trust, which is the fundamental basis of teaching learning process, is going away by the day, by the minute.
So can I say something which just struck me when you were speaking? If you look at, just after this, sir, if you look at the world outside the classroom, and this is something very, very important that we've observed in our 2 years, the 2 years research we did before we founded Imbibe, is that our society is becoming an instant gratification society. Right? Facebook, WhatsApp, SMS bheja. You know, my dad was learning how to SMS, right? So my chachu spoke to my dad. He said, Arun, Papa's name is Arun. He says, SMS bheja, mila? Kehte nahi. Tune khol ke dekha? Kehte nahi. So he went from that learning curve, right? But the point is, I sent an SMS. Did you get it? So now think about how that society of parents, of students, of shopkeepers, whatnot, who also have children, because education is something everybody consumes, when they come to the classroom, that subtle nuance of their personality and that shift has come into the shifting expectations, you know, from schools, from principals, and all the pressure that is creating this environment for private schools. Would you agree with me? Right? So basically, the classrooms are where they are. And may I please stick my neck out there, and by the way, I respect every single person who spent even a minute trying to transform education in India, either through technology or otherwise. And my job is not to say the product is good or the other product is bad. My job is to ask the question that how are we evolving in our adoption of technology? Okay? Which moves me to my next question. Sorry, you have an observation and sir has a point. I'm not going to jump off, I just had a slip disc. I'm going to walk down. Here.
I think first of all, the visual communication, it is with the help of technology. And we are giving more time for understanding than you can say copying or you can say writing. Second one, I think generally earlier you can say without this one technology, suppose cameras were not there, children they used to, you can say deny if they're doing something wrong. No, they're under observation, they're saying, sorry sir. At least I think a little bit you can say they're getting values also because the technology you can say is with them. They're not, you can say, I think they cannot skip, they cannot go away from that. It means technology somewhere you can say helping. The positive side is also there.
Accountability is going up.
Accountability is-
Absolutely. That's a very good point, sir. Ma'am, you have a point?
Just
Can
an
I add?
observation. I feel that ever since technology has been creeping into our lives and stealthily creeping in, expectations and tolerance is inversely proportional.
Exactly.
It's not the same anymore.
Yes.
Can I add?
Yes, sir.
Technology has empowered education. It empowered student more than the teacher. It has empowered student to check whether teacher is saying the right answer or not. It's a great gift, and it has given a great power to entire education sector. I'm sure that we are fortunate to have such a wonderful technology. I'm sure that coming days, the technology will be more advanced and the education will be more empowered. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let me move on in my questioning. As I mentioned, we'll ask questions and we'll keep moving on, right? So going from the role of technology impacting education, and I somehow, if you notice, nobody in the room said that students are scoring higher because of technology. We're still, you know, sort of, they say that there was, I don't know, this philosopher who said, he says, no matter how much I learn and I gain, I'm still picking pebbles on the shore while the vast sea of knowledge lies undiscovered before me. I think that's basically our attitude and potentially the options available to us in terms of embracing technology. So if I were to ask, has technology impacted learning outcomes in your classrooms? I would like to hear opinions on that.
I would say the learning outcomes have gone many folds. Reason, the learning has improved, and hence outcomes have improved. How do I know that? Well, there are various ways we check the learning outcomes. Now, the variety of assessment which we were discussing in the earlier section has come in. And the result of that is the learning, the show of it, which is an outcome, has improved. Like, for instance, let's talk of some examples you want me to say? All right. Somebody in the previous session talked about that there's a collaborative project which has been done, and across the countries which has been done. And after that, whatever is amalgamated, whatever is learnt, if that is shared, well, the learning outcome is definitely better. Like two countries, that example, I'm not narrating. The two countries collaborated with each other. The students from two countries collaborated with each other and they learned from each other. And I think the learning outcome about the countries was better. I'll tell you, yes, let me give you another example. Long back, when I evolved as an educator and as a principal, we learned through, I think most of us have gone through Intel Teach to the Future. That was the first impact I had. Like, you know, so we were in Bangalore and we attended this conference, the first conference which Intel did. And after coming back from there, I realized, the children made the presentation, I realized the technology can do so much. And when I realized that, and when we came back to school, I had a concert. I'm talking very specific, right? We had a concert and we wanted to put up a real show. And the children did that. I didn't do anything. I said, you know what? I could make a levitating train. I could do that. So children can do something, and they picked up the the snippets from the movies, and the galloping horses were on the screen. So
ma'am, I think point
at the
well,
second, which, because I have numerous, right? The second, the people, we said, children, teachers, please make your own books. Because always we have the problem about books we're talking about. And teacher said, this is the book and I have to complete this book and these chapters. I remember Saras Bharti. And Saras Bharti, but 32 chapters in it, and I asked Mrs. Saxena, I said, children are not understanding Hindi, and they're complaining about that you're going very fast. She says, 32 पाठ है मैडम, पूरा करना है कि नहीं करना है, नहीं तो पेरेंट्स कहेंगे किताब दिलवा दी, पाठ पूरे नहीं किए. I said, fine, then let's have 15. Let's have 15. And she says, कहाँ से लाऊं वो 15? 15 की कोई किताब नहीं. I said, you make your own book. And they made their books. I said, choose what you want to teach. And let's ask children that what do they want to learn. And they created a book, Xeroxed, spiral bound, 15 chapters. I get the head of Intel, जिन्होंने किया था, I wouldn't like to name. They come to the school and they say the teachers are, and they did a survey, teachers are complaining and the parents are complaining, black and white किताब हो गई है. I said, हरी गाय की किताब बहुत अच्छी थी, ये black and white नहीं समझ में आती. But with that, what technology did? वो एक हिमालय पर एक कविता है, हिमादि त्रुंग शिंग से something, right? I don't remember, so I don't want to make an. Now the children had made presentation, a real Himalaya was seen. Poem in true sense was seen and understood, and I think the learning became manifold.
So ma'am, I think now I understand what you mean by that, right?
Right.
So, but I would again like to ask a different question, right?
Say.
Everything's relative. Do you guys agree with that? Everything is relative, right? Am I tall? Probably. If I stand next to Shailesh Gupta, who's head of product, he's from IIT Kharagpur, works really hard from my wave to people, great. If I stand next to him, I will no longer be tall, right? So then the question becomes, and I think it has to be evolved, has technology impacted learning outcomes to the extent possible today in the world, in India, right? And I think that the answer to that, knowing sort of, because when we were setting up Imbibe, I looked at 150 global education technology players. And I met about 2,000 students, parents, and teachers across 20 cities in India just to ask the same question, right? And the answer that came back was so inspiring and so motivating. Just before this, I was talking to Madam Madhuri at the Imbibe booths. She said, Aditi, for Ryan International, we put together such a beautiful curriculum to give exposure of the right stream of choice to students post the 10th standard. It is just marvelous. I said, ma'am, how is this going to scale? Because at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself this question, how big is big? What is the answer to how big is big? We have made a big impact. But how big is big? So if learning outcomes are impacted through education technology, can we say that every year we have seen a 20% improvement in the performance of my entire school because I got X, Y, and Z on board? Maybe the answer is yes, and I'll tell you something, okay? You have painters, and you have paintings, and you have crayons, right? Not crayons, paints, right? It's about who applies the brush. But there is a level in technology which is independent of who applies the brush. Because the reality of today, and Madam, I'm actually nervous as somebody who was not a student too long ago. 20 years ago is still a long time, but not long enough for me to not wish, sisters when I still see them. Good afternoon, sister. Because I went to a convent school, right? And I think that standing here and saying that when you look at the school as a principal, you also know that all fingers are not equal. And that every teacher is not motivated enough to be that Picasso to paint you the masterpiece with the tools you provide. So then how can the onus of the collection of data, the distribution of it, the analysis be left to the teacher?
I would like to share one of the
That's an
examples.
extremely provocative statement to make. What you are trying to say is technology can impact learning outcomes beyond the realms of a teacher in whatever context he or she is. Because basically you believe that the biases or whatever quality or lack of quality the teacher has got no relationship with the quality of technology you are putting up.
No, so that's not what I meant. If you could please allow me a clarification. if you could please allow me
Yeah.
a clarification. What I was saying is that let's say you have 10,000 classrooms,
Yeah.
right, in which you want to improve the performance of a student, all students, by 30%. Let's say we want India to perform better. Because, you know, sir, I was listening to your talk, and you said that IITians drop out or other things happen. And I actually believe that middle India, that middle performance layer has so much more potential if people are made to feel more special. So that's the goal. When I start with the goal, the first thing that I feel is that the teacher, right? And sir, I'm trying to be provocative because I'm trying to engineer a debate, you know, so please pardon my, you know, the views expressed in this program are solely based of, you know, Imbibe does not. Anyway, so the point becomes, do you have the same passionate, you know, very, very motivated, highly willing teacher participating in every classroom?
It's again relative. Do you have the same motivated student as the older generation was?
No.
So that answers your question. What we are now trying to look at is, in terms of India, the numbers we have reached, technology is able to reach out for more people. Technology will, at many levels, see that if there is a school not existing, partially at least they can handle it, the para-teaching system. But at the end of it, technology has to be looked at in the context of the age and generation you are in. Roger Bannister ran 4 miles, the famous mile in 4 minutes. Today, people are coming close to 3 minutes.
Correct.
Was Roger Bannister a lesser one? Tendulkar scored his first 200. Today we have Rohit Sharma scoring 264. Is Rohit Sharma better than Sachin Tendulkar? No, not at all. So fundamentally, the premise on which you have framed your provocative question is seriously open to being questioned.
So, which is a fair question, but the point here is that if you cannot be objective in a one-size-fits-all rule, you can't be, right? So you basically, you know, made the point that I was trying to get you to make. My point is, all students are not equal, all teachers are not equal, all principals are not equal, as per Madam Madhuri's point. All schools don't have equal infrastructure. Let me bring in another variable. All content is also not equal. Every question is unique and beautiful in its own way. It assesses students differently, right? Then why is the central debate in education not about personalization and personalized analytics? The centralized debate is still about a one-way unidirectional implementation of technology or tablets or something where a lot of the value add is not discussed in terms of the student, but it is discussed in terms of who got access. What is the opportunity cost? So last year, Imbibe had about, you know, we were very small. We had about 20,000 students sitting for the exam. And we started with test prep because we felt that the JEE content is the most complex. The pedagogy and the curriculum is really, really hard. So if you can build a system to improve performance for that ecosystem, you can scale it back to multiple different applications. In that, so we had students from Podar, we had students from a range of private schools who had tablets, you know, accessible to them, who had multiple things accessible to them. A lot of their parents came to us and said, we've subscribed to a smart class, you subscribe to this, we're using this tool, we're using that tool, but Omkar Sadarangani is scoring marks. What do we do? And what we realized was that through the power of personalized analytics, we could improve Omkar Sadarangani's marks in the JEE main complex curriculum from 70 to 105 in a period of 10 days. So then the question is, how do you scale this? And what can technology really do for the classroom? And I think that it's not about whether Imbibe can solve the problem, right? It's just about when we talk about technology, what do we expect from it? What do we demand of it? And I don't think that the role of technology is now in this world, in this space, if you look at it from a global benchmark, just to be limited to, hey, you know, do you have a tablet? And here, take access. Technology has to sit in the classroom with the teacher, with the principal, and solve the complex fabric that knits together education problems today. Because like Sir said, like Colonel said, you're dealing with students that are not equal. You're dealing with parents that are not equal. You're dealing with teachers that are not equal. Then how do we expect one person standing in the classroom, irrespective of class size, to deliver that instant gratification and deliver that personalized service that every parent today is looking for?
Just don't give it. I think the next speaker is, otherwise I would have engaged in a debate with you. Just don't give it. We are not in the business of instant gratification. We are not in the business of making that child only pass JEE. We are in the bloody business of making him a good citizen. That doesn't happen only with marks, period. That, I think we have enough. That's another debate for which we'll have a different time. Let's finish with this. Yeah.
So I'd be happy to engage in the debate outside later on. And I think if you look at the situation on the ground, once again, I think we talked about performance improvement and the pressure that students face and all of that, things that are happening. How does value instilling happen? How do you actually develop the faculties of being a good citizen or do other things when your personality basically goes to die in a coaching class after your 10th standard? What do you guys feel about that? I guess my point is that there is a lot of talk, right, in education. And maybe I'm raising some questions which probably are not, very, very easy to digest at the get-go. Maybe they're a little too open. But I did want to have this conversation with the leading educators of India. The question is, we talk a lot about personality development. We talk a lot about young adults attaining their true potential. But the truth of the matter is, and we've seen this through so many students on the ground as a complete third party, not a principal, not a teacher, not a student, after their 10th standard, they're not left with a life. They're just adrift. There's suicides happening in Kota. There are a lot of things going wrong. There are a lot of things going right. The way the average guy on the ground, he's saying 29% of spend is now in private schools in rural sector. Why is the guy spending in a private school education? Because he wants his child to get a job. How does he get a job? He gets a job if he gets to a good college and gets into a good job through college. So the question is, how do you create breathing room in this ecosystem by actually allowing the student to feel special, to feel personalized in the way he gets feedback, either in the classroom, in the coaching class, or outside? Who's thinking about the student? I would just like to hear some views, just free-flowing views from students. What does it make you feel, the statement that I mentioned?
See, after class 10th, most of the formative years have gone. So if a child or if a school or if a teacher realizes that after 10th, I have to do a career, then it is too late now. A child has to have a formative years right from the early ages of class 6 and 7. So the only child who faces pressure after 10th is the one who has not made his base strong. So he is in a dilemma. So the school system, like you said, how the technology is helping. I have seen beautiful examples of teachers in my school. They use technology in making the base of the child strong. The teacher clicks the common mistakes of the paper and she takes and she's made a blog. So when she goes to the next class, she always says, see, your seniors have done these mistakes. So when I'm teaching or when you're solving this paper, you will not going to do this mistake. So it's a life example she's sharing in class through her blog or through her question answers because she's clicked the common mistakes from the last papers. So she's making the formative years through technology. So after 10th, it will not help much. It will help when these teachers at the middle school or that level will start forming. Then the child will not be lost after 10th class.
I think that's a great point. But if you look at numbers, 1.4 million students take the IIT JEE exam, right? Out of that, only 75,000 students are able to score 32%. Everybody else is below the cutoff. And the blame that coaching classes put is that the private schools or the other schools that help the student through 8th, 9th and 10th were not able to deliver learning outcomes, because of which now the base is weak, because of which foundation programs have to be instituted, and a large part of the class again runs to tuitions in the 8th, 9th and 10th standard.
Even 6, 7, 8.
6th, 7th, 8th also.
Foundation they started.
Okay, great, even lower than that. So my question now becomes that can technology help you, A, alleviate this problem, B, even if you have these foundation programs running in your schools, actually get a handle in what is that 1 lakh investment getting for you, you know, with the foundation programs running?
Ma'am, I have a point to make
Please,
here.
please.
I won't go to a larger picture. I would just go through my own home. I am a mother to two kids, one in class 3 and the other in class 6. Of course, I have a lot of digital learning solutions. So one of them, he took up Khan's Academy for personalized learning, and the other one took BrainX. I tell you, at my own home level, I see, for 10 days, they were really enthusiastic about this program. Subsequently, it was like you go ahead, delivering on it for half an hour, and then subsequently allow us to play a game after half an hour. So it's like another toy in the child's hand, which has a span of not more than 10 days. So what is important is to keep that moderation and motivation to go on, and that's where Colonel really did a good job. I mean, like 30 seconds, attention span of principals sitting out here, 30 seconds, and then only it went on and uphill. So this is chiefly important and more challenging for today's learning.
So how do you bring up? So ma'am said something interesting. You put an education technology tool in the hands of a student. He will not spend time on it after a point of time. And then you're like, next year it comes up renewal. You're like, why should I do it again? Right? So question is, what would motivate a student to keep going on? Why would a student continue to invest in an education technology product or a tool? Forget about the goal. It could be J, it could be 8th, it could be 9th, it could be 10th, it could be 4th. Why would a student actually engage? Because this beautiful point that ma'am made, learning outcomes improvement and other things, it cannot be a pocket full of impact in, let's say, ma'am's school. It has to be a national movement, because technology can help us like that. We found the answer. So please, you have a point to make.
Actually, I'm running a school till 10th standard, but parents used to come back and they used to say, "Sir, abhi 11th mein ja rahe hain, kya kare bachchon ka?" The thing which I observed that after going for 11th, usually they go for a number of tuitions, and the the slot is totally divided, or what I say, distributed equally. First thing. Second thing, the interest, I say, practically the peer pressure, or what I say, the other friend of his class is going in that coaching, is the deciding factor. Third, the marketing was so, so smartly introduced, so the core sense, or whether the child is capable of going in that stream, particularly is decided, is not clear. So that's why the data is showing that the really productive students are not coming. They are going because the next one is going on, and the deciding factor is, in most of the families, they are from the medium class families as we are dealing. So the deciding person is someone else, not the child. So when the real sense comes out after 2 years or 3 years of experience of working in Kota or whatever, I have seen to the Kota also, thousands of students coming in coaching, they are rushing, and their whole environment is different. But real number of students are coming very less. So the deciding factors are others.
Then the question becomes, if you were to actually want to use technology to completely personalize your analysis to such an extent that you can just improve performance by 20% in just one test, how do you do that? Because remember, you cannot rely on months and months of a student consuming information. He's just not going to do that. Back on the board here, you see a student and a tough question. कहानी सारी एक बच्चे और एक सवाल की हो जाती है at the end of the day when you look at evaluation. What can we learn from the interaction of one student and one question? For the most part, it is about the student getting the question right or wrong or not attempting it. If he gets it right, great. If he gets it wrong, too bad. And if he leaves it, you should study this. If you go to a coaching institute, the point becomes, mehnat karo, because they don't even understand the student. But if you evolve that hypothesis, if you say, this is a high stamina student who's weak at visual skills but overall good at studies, who's seen this question before and normally studies in the morning, how much more do you know about this student now? We have about 100 parameters that we store per student to just deliver feedback real time on that student's interaction with a question, also storing all of the beauty of the question along with when we make it. It's a tough question. How many concepts does it test? Is it a parameterization question? What is the time that it would take for a good student to solve this problem? Is it 30 seconds? Is it 1 minute? Is it 2 minutes? And then we look at this interaction and give you very different kind of feedback. We tell you how and when a student has made a careless mistake without you having to look at his analysis. We can tell you what is the most rock-solid component of his prep. Perfect attempts. We can tell you, regardless of right or wrong, please revise these concepts because you go over time in them, which means you either don't practice or you've used the wrong method. So the point that we started to solve at Imbibe was the information problem. We said that before we solve the tablet problem or tool problem or infrastructure problem, we have to solve the student, parent, teacher information problem. The parent has the anxiety of not knowing what is happening. You say this is a great tablet or whatever else, take this on board. As Madam Madhuri said in the beginning, fees increases, and they're always rationalizing against a black box. I hope you would agree with me on that. Despite the best principles to give as much data as possible to the parent. The student never knows where he should go and invest in his time today, and his trade-offs are mostly emotional. आज physics की teacher ने डांटा, मैं physics नहीं पढ़ूंगा. अगर उस time पे electrostatics पढ़ा रहे हैं physics में, तो हम रह गए. फिर कौन आके वापस revise करेगा उस बच्चे को? So we catch that. And this problem intensifies in emerging markets because of the teacher-student ratios. So let me show you what we have been able to achieve just in the JEE space. Hopefully I will have internet working here and a logged in account. So this is the test feedback of a student on Imbibe. We are ready for the JEE. We've gone through one session. IIT rank 1, 2014, IIT rank 3, 2014 were Imbibe students, all the way down to the Omkar Sadarangani who qualified for the JEE mains just because he used Imbibe. And now we are bringing this analysis to schools. And I think I agree with Colonel, even though he walked out because he was so annoyed with what I was saying, and I think that's about respecting everybody's views. My point is, good citizenship, dialogue in the classroom, debate in the classroom will only happen when this quality of information empowers the teacher and the parent. Because फिर discussion मुद्दे पे होंगे, noise पे नहीं होंगे, right? So let me just quickly walk you through a couple of very interesting things that you might find. So the first thing is, this is the test score of Govind Lahoti, who is AIR 3 2014. So he's one of the best students in the country, ever. You can see he scored 91.7% in the test, and he has 46 perfect attempts and 42 overtimes. Can you get the best student of the country to know how he should improve? If you can do that, you can get any student to improve. So if you see here, let's look at his score. Right, wrong, answers, not attempted, marks, minutes taken. A lot of people would tell you that. But what we get into is the quality of the attempt. So if you see here, if you look at the perfect overtime and wasted attempts, you suddenly don't care about right or wrong. What you care about is, what does the student truly have a handle on? There is an interesting number here, 0 minutes on questions that you did not attempt. I was at Base Education in Bangalore. We did a pilot for all the topmost students there. This was about last week. The guy who scored the highest marks had 267 marks out of 360. You can translate that to any board, any curriculum, because we support all content. He spent 41 minutes in the paper on questions he did not actually answer. out of 3 hours. One test can get you this feedback. But the other very interesting thing is implementing your teacher's best advice. This is how Govind Lahoti looked at the paper. The x-axis is 3 hours. The y-axis is difficulty level. Each circle stands for a subject. This is how he looked at the paper. So if you see, even IIT Rank 1 looked at physics and switched to mathematics. The way you look at a paper tells a lot about how you feel about the subject. Now, if this comes into the hand of a teacher and a parent, when they're doing counseling and discussing a student, it would just lead to a whole level different dialogue. And then if you look at his attempt, you see he attempted 2 questions of physics, and then he went into mathematics. That means this question, question 3 in physics, made him leave physics. What was in this question that made Govind Lahoti want to leave this question behind as the best student? I would also like to show you the conceptual and remedial information that you get just on our test analysis, and we have a lot of other things besides this. Now, let's say you're 3 months before the board exam, or a month before it, or a year before it. It doesn't matter. Every day when you come home, you have a trade-off between new study and revision, right? What do you revise as a student? And what does the teacher give as homework? And how does the teacher address the doubts of the class the next day? Ma'am was talking about frequent mistakes. I think that is just scratching the surface of the kind of analysis that is possible. Here, if you see, within this particular chapter, refrigerator was the concept that he got wrong. Every other concept was right. So he did not need to waste his time on any other concept except refrigerator and pick up the book and revise that again. When you look at the question-wise analysis, you see that if there is an overtime question which is correct, there are video solutions available to address that question, and the content and the explanations are super long and completely comprehensive to give a student a sense of what he did wrong, also increasing the quality of questions asked in the classroom. Right now, 70% of students, and please, feel free to go and validate in your 11th and 12th standard at least, because Imbibe is a product, and when I say we are a product, because we offer one standard of service for everybody, and the experience is highly personalized. 70% of students come and ask questions like, Sir, मुझे physics नहीं आती. Sir, organic खराब है. Ma'am, मेरी mechanics बहुत weak है. So before the exam, regardless of which exam, how does a teacher fix that? A teacher can fix, I'm going overtime on this concept, ma'am. 1 minute. Can I please, figure out how to fix it? The next thing that a lot of students ask, how many of the schools here have foundation programs running for their 11th and 12th standard, partnering with Fiji or Akash or somebody else? Is there anybody here? Ma'am, you said? It's all ho raha hai aapka. So, ab mujhe aapko ye bataiye, what academic accountability do those guys have towards you? There is no academic accountability. At the same time, they expect your parents to spend 1 lakh rupees, use your classroom, and provide this service. Let me show you something. If you take a test, let's say you use this as a calibration exercise, you can actually compare, because remember I mentioned, content is also varied and beautiful. If you want to benchmark a student against another student, you'd better use the same questions, right? So here, if you take a test on Imbibe, you will be able to compare, the student will be able to compare himself with all last year exam takers who actually scored ranks in JEE 2014 and took the same tests. So what will happen? If he scores 301, I know he's likely to get into what IIT. So what you can do is, you can actually keep the accountability of the student high and the accountability of the service provider high to understand how to fix this. Not only that, so this is the feedback of Anurag Sharma. He's a weak student, 60.8%, and the behavior completely changes. So if you see, he spent 59.2 minutes on questions he did not attempt on the same paper. This is how, just in one test, behaviors can change. We send automated recommendations to the student. Even the counseling happens virtually. So if I show you, Albert Imbibestein sent a message to Govind Lahoti. He said, so you just took a test. You've got wasted attempts. It costs 5 marks for every wasted attempt. And how you can improve it is when Tendulkar is batting and Brett Lee is bowling, as the pressure mounts, it's only Tendulkar's mind and Brett Lee's mind that connects every delivery in the over. Every question in the exam is like that. If you get stressed out, you will lose the exam. And then the best content on the internet on how to alleviate stress. So we have a lot of other things, including, for example, test-on-test feedback, adaptive practice to fix each chapter. And today, for the first time, we are very, very happy to announce that we are willing to, we are in the market now to actually start to talk to some schools to see how they would like to partner with us to improve the performance of the entire school. This is a first come, first serve pilot, only 25 schools. It will happen for free. We will work hard for an entire year to get this working right for schools. We have content for 8th standard to 12th standard. We have tests, we have practice of over 75,000 questions with our own academic team. You know, unlike a lot of people, we've actually invested in that. Every question on Imbibe costs 700 rupees to create because of this reason. And if you would be interested in partnering with us and being part of this campaign that we call hashtag 1 billion marks, and be part of Imbibe's knowledge network, contributing. We've already had a bunch of schools sign up. Please meet us in the booth outside. And I think what this would do, I would like to end with something. You would have all received some envelopes on your table. Have they been distributed, Subodh? There is a small, everybody's not received it. Who's not received it? Could you raise your hands? Could you distribute them? There is a write-up in there on changing education forever. And I think to change education forever forward for all of you, we have to change education back. Back to the days of debate, discourse, the Greek philosophers and Vedas that you did not even have to write down to know. To do that, teachers in the classroom have to be empowered in a way that they're wearing Google glasses, if you've heard of them. And they look at the student and they know, yesterday on the 6th question in your physics assignment, you did not really spend a lot of time, right? You got it wrong. You've been naughty. And the student feels, wow, my teacher knows. He even knows my sincerity on every attempt. And then you can start to invest in so much more in that classroom because this core hassle, all of this investment around is only and only for learning outcomes, not marks. Unfortunately, marks is how it happens today. But we cannot change a system until we make the current system better. So I apologize for some, controversy I may have caused. It was all designed to induce a debate. But I would like to leave with a request to you to give us the, the patronage of your sponsorship and participate in our pilot. If you're interested in getting this, what you would get is practice and test, co-developed curriculum. You can pick up our questions and design it the way you want to. Intensive hands-on help on making the teachers actually use it. And next year, on this particular summit, we will present the results of what happened to the 25 schools.
I have one question. Yes. Is your product designed only for objective type questions or for subjective questions?
So we have 8 different question types supported, which include fill in the blanks, which includes put the subjective answer in. There is no...
How would you evaluate the subjective answer? Because the subjective answers are not ready-made or fixed set of words.
I think individually we can discuss later on.
Of the students.
We can call, we can contact, we should be a part of the project.
Was right, how much time he has spent on that? How would you evaluate?
See, I have explained everything. Later on you can.
So if you want more detail, we could take it up offline, okay, and we could discuss it. But thank you very much for all your contribution to this debate. And I hope when I leave this forum, you'll all think more about technology in the terms of learning outcomes and not just in terms of recording report cards and things like that. Thank you very much for your time.
I think we are very, very nice people here. Skill development and 10 minutes. I don't think I'm going to develop or discuss any skill development. I want to leave you all with a thought.
I observed since morning that we have displayed 3 or 4 amazing skills. So, and I want to talk about that. One is the art of negotiation. You're given 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I think barring handful, everyone negotiated for a overtime. I don't know if it's something to be happy about, but you know, look at what we have done, squeezed. The second skill is skill of tolerance, excessive tolerance. I mean, they have made presentations after presentations, after presentations, after presentations. Yes, and it's almost like they've given us what we know, and we, like polite audience, sat through it. I don't know if, you know, as an educational fraternity, we should be a little more aggressive in saying, you know what, come to the point. And the third one, I need to wear my glasses. You know, we had diverse, complementary, contradictory, to have technology, to not to have technology, how much technology, to be or not to be. We have all heard it. And we all will go home knowing well what we want. That suits our context and that will suit our realities. And I think that's another very important skill that I saw today. That jo bolna hai bolo yaar, but I will see what my realities are and I will go back and get it. And the fourth skill that I want to talk about is today, while we were in the washroom, we wanted to wash the hand, and then we went back to, we assumed this hotel is very far ahead in technology, so I kept showing my hand below the tap. And we did this, and we did this, and you know, we tried to do this, and then the lady came and said, you know what, you just have to open it. And we didn't realize that sometimes you go that far in the technology that you need a skill to retract back and maybe do some very, very ordinary things. And I think school is all about a lot of everyday, ordinary things, and I think that's the way of getting back to our skills. So I know that they've given me 10 minutes, so I'm going to leave this floor with the discussions open, because I think all of us, educational fraternity, know that you cannot discuss and do any justice to this topic in 10 minutes. Should we just hand over the mic and tell them, take it to the next one? Yes? Yeah, we have to put our foot down. Yes. Yes? Yes. Because I think this 10 minutes of tokenism is not necessary. What do you say? Yes? Because I think this has been with us in our hands, and we should have seen. And really, I mean, school goes by, you know, clock hours, and we abide by the discipline. But here, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be, and I think we need to just hand over the mic to them. Please take the time and do what the next program is. Is that okay? Thank you.